You'll find a Mets fan. Let's go. This is a Mets year. For all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home
What up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets at Rob with another Mets pregame show right here on Talking Mets at Rob. How is everybody doing on this lovely afternoon on a Thursday? Our New York Mets are going for the sweep against the Chicago Cubs with a somewhat new face on the mound today, getting his first start wearing the orange and blue, and that is Jose Quintana. We know what happened at spring training with the rib injury, and he had to have surgery and missed all these months. And finally, we will actually see the rotation we were supposed to see starting opening day in Miami. Verlander missed a month. Scherzer missed 10 days. Carrasco missed 2 weeks. Quintana missed a couple of months. It was on and on and on with injury-prone injury situations, a rotation that was never fully intact to start the season. And today starts that day. Yes, it took many months. Yes, it's July 20th. Yes, the Mets are 7 games out of a wild card spot. Yes, they have a 3-game winning streak. But today they can go for the sweep and start a 4-game winning streak. And that's when people are going to start talking, ladies and gentlemen, because of the fact that I said this on the Mets Roundtable and the Shea Bridge Show Sunday and Monday that, look, in all likelihood, the Mets are not going to make the playoffs. But mathematically, if you look at it that way, they're still in it, right? Today is game 96 of the season. They got around, 69 games to go, 71, whatever the math is. It's around that many games left. The point of the matter is, and I said this on Sunday and Monday, the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies are basically neck and neck for that third wild card. Why is that important? That's because of the fact that the New York Mets are facing the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins the last 2 weeks of the season, the end of the year. They play each of those teams 7 times. And 6 times against the Miami and 7 times against Philadelphia. That's 13 games. That's a 2-week stretch at the end of the season. So my mind starts thinking all they have to be at the deadline between 3 and 5 games out of the wild card spot, because it looks like I said a week ago, teams that are in front of the Mets aren't really that good, right? Every one of them had a 10, 12-game stretch where they played really well. Cincinnati Reds, they're 3-7 in their last 10. right? The Brewers, right? They're leading the division, but they're going back and forth with the Reds. Those teams are going to beat up on each other. The same thing with the Marlins and the Phillies. They're going to beat up on each other while the Mets still have games against the Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, if these were teams just in like one team in the West, one team in the Central, one team in the East, I can say, okay, that's going to be hard because you need a lot of those teams to lose to jump them. But these are teams that are going to be beating each other up. The Brewers and the Reds, the Giants, Dodgers, and Diamondbacks are all going to beat each other up. And the Marlins and the Phillies and the Mets are going to play each other. So they're all this jump that everybody's saying is almost impossible. And even the Padres, for example, right? Oh, they took 2 out of 3 against the Mets, and they're a half a game in front of the Mets now. So it turns out that quickly that all of a sudden the Padres, right after the Mets series, basically done nothing. And that's where the Mets have to look at it in a certain way. Is it possible? Probably not. But we saw what happened when the Mets went on a 6-game winning streak, right? They were 10 games back. They jumped over 4 teams during that 6-game streak. They jumped 4 games. They jumped 4 teams, and they gained 3.5 games on the wild card in 6 games. 6 out of 7 days, because one day, the 7th day was an off day. Right wing, I understand that, but you also see the Mets have had a problem this year of beating the bad teams, right? Right? What team are you afraid of that are in front of us in a wild card, right? And now you look at tiebreakers as well, right? The only team that has the tiebreakers when it comes to the teams in the wild card are the Brewers with the Mets. So if the Brewers win their division, the Mets will have the season series against the Reds. They, at the moment, I think it's tied with the Phillies, right? Every other team, the Padres are tied with us series-wise. So it comes back to winning percentage. It'll come back to division records, and that's how they'll determine tiebreakers. That's another thing you have to look at as well. It's not perfect. It's not easy. It's going to be hard as hell. But again, if the Mets win today, that's 4 in a row, right? They're going to Boston, which I will be in Boston. I'll be flying out tomorrow morning. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturday with the 7 line, Friday with a bunch of people from the 7 line. And Sunday, I'm trying to get a ticket in the Green Monster because that's what I really want to do. On Friday, I have a ticket, but I already called one of those ticket reps and see if I can get one. And if it opens up, I will get one for sure. So the Red Sox have been extremely hot, but they just lost a series against the A's, right? The Red Sox are a team that is what are they? They're a couple of games over 500, right? I think 6 games over 500. I was just gonna say Yoshida's a beast. He's a 300 hitter. The Red Sox signed him very early once he became available, gave him more money than a lot of people thought he was gonna get. The Red Sox, look, they're a sneaky team. They're a sneaky good team, right? You can't sit back on them because they will punch you in the mouth and knock your ass out, right? But when people were like, "Oh, well, it's only the lifeless White Sox." Well, weren't the same people saying that in the first week of the season when the Mets played 7 out of their first 10 games against the Miami Marlins? And they were like, "Well, you only beat the Marlins." Well, how does that look now, right? Carl, yes, London. I already renewed my passport. I'm going. That's all I know. Yeah, Tilly. Well, I had a ticket rep a couple of years ago that's still there that is trying to hook me up. He's trying to finesse, sweeten the deal for some people. I know there's a season ticket holder that has 2 tickets to that is trying to get them on field level, like right behind the Red Sox dugout. So I'm trying to get the ticket rep to sweeten the deal because I want to get up there, but we'll see. Carl, just look, you got my email, right? So let me know. Brant, what younger pitching? You want Peterson and McGill in this rotation? Because I don't, right? The younger pitcher is not here yet. Vasil most likely will be here next year, but there's no guarantee. What is he going to – at best, he's probably a number 3 at this point and probably a good number 4. So – again, and you understand, it's not just about trading Scherzer and Verlander, because you will have to take the majority of that money. But if you're not going to get nothing for them prospect-wise, there's no point. There's no benefit of trading them if they don't get a prospect in return, at least, a top 20 prospect or a top 15 prospect. If you're not going to get that, then why are you going to pay the money to let them play for another team? That makes no sense. All right, give me 1 second, Carl. All right, that's my YouTube email. Just email me and let me know who you are. Yeah, I agree, Right Wing. Look, I'm not saying the White Sox are a good team, but the Mets have had problems all year against bad teams, right? It's nice to see that they're beating they're beating a bad team. That's the important part. Like I said to come out of this homestand, the Mets at least have to go 4-2. Right? I didn't think they were going to take the series against the Dodgers. They needed one of those games against the Dodgers. Somehow, some way, they won the last game of that series. If you sweep the White Sox, that's a 4-2 road trip. If they win homestand, if they win today, they're 9-4 in July. So that's actually pretty good. If they have a July and flip the number that they had in June, that's what, 8 games over 500. I'm gonna tell you right now, that is gonna put you right in the middle of the wild card race. What I mean by that is the fact that you'll see Philly, Miami, the Mets, and probably one of the other teams, probably like the Reds or something like that, one of the central teams. Because there's no team that has ran away with everything. Every time they had a 10-game stretch where they go 7-3, they'll go through a 10-game stretch where they're 3-7. Look at the Reds. Look at the Phillies when they stumbled a tad. They went 6-4. It's not bad, but you know what? You win, 7 out of 3. You gain a couple of games, right? It's been back and forth. Like the Mets should be 15 games out of a wild card spot the way they've been playing. Yet, why are they only 7 games? And the most they were is 10, and that was a couple of weeks ago in June. The reason why is because nobody is good enough to run away with that last wildcard spot, possibly even the second wildcard spot. And that's the most important thing to look at. It's not about the Mets being a bad team, a good team, whatever you think. It's just the fact that there's nobody in front of them that you could say are dangerous. Remember, that same Phillies team, that's probably the only really quality team that's in front of us. The Mets basically handed them on a silver platter that series against them. It's not like the Phillies actually beat us, right? The Mets beat themselves in that series, and we all know it. The Mets should have easily won the last 2 games of that series. And that's what's the frustrating thing about it. They should have, and that's the most important thing. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the fact that there's nobody here that's in front of the Mets that are good enough to run away with anything, because wouldn't that would have happened already in the month of June when the Mets were terrible? That's when it should have been over. But guess what? Everybody came back down to earth. That red-hot Reds team that all of a sudden Met fans wanted to replicate? Well, they had a 3-7 stretch, and they're not playing as great as they were. And they're flip-flopping with the Brewers, who are going to beat up on each other. What you hope is that whoever's leading the Central right now, which is the Brewers, you want them to beat up on the Reds, because that means they're falling back in the wild card. Same thing with the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Mets. Remember, we faced the Marlins and the Phillies the last 2 weeks of the season. 13 more games, and that's only 2 teams we play at the end of the year. So if you get into that deadline area where you're within 4 or 5 games, there's a pretty good chance that either the Marlins or the Phillies are going to be in one of those wild card spots, and you're going to be facing them. All you have to do is beat them. So the Mets have to take care of business over the next 3 series, the Red Sox series, the Yankees series, and the National series when they come back home. Right? We got to take a look. We got to sweep the series today. Beat the White Sox. We don't know what the Quintana is going to do. I don't think he's going to pitch more than 75 pitches his first game back. So Hopefully he has a quick inning or two where he can get 5 innings. And the best thing yesterday about Justin Verlander wasn't that he pitched well and great. Thank God he finally looked like Justin Verlander of 2022. It was because of the fact that he saved the bullpen for a day like today. You got all your guns just in case Quintana, scuffles a little bit, which could be expected in his first game. That's why yesterday was so important with Verlander. Win or lose. Mostly win, but you had to look at it this way. And that's the most important thing. The Mets are 5 games under 500. Nothing matters until they get to 500. We all know that. That is simple. And I do want to talk about the baby Mets, ladies and gentlemen. I've been saying for a while, Brett Beatty, before the last 2 games, have been extremely disappointing. He embarrassed himself with that missed pop-up against the Dodgers, and it seemed like that was the 2023 season in a nutshell. The ball bouncing and hitting him up in the chin when he was trying to dive for the ball after he misread it, right? But what I love to see, and this is the whole mental makeup that the Mets were lacking, and you see it with Alvarez and Beatty. They're mentally tough because Beatty could have easily checked out after that Dodger series, because in that same game where he missed the ball and that second run scored of the inning to make it 3-1, he came up in the last inning and swung on 3 fastballs high in the zone, and he looked like he was overmatched. The best part about this was that he turned it around. His comments afterwards, he says, I got to be better. I can't do that. I got to pick myself off the mat. And he did that. A lot of these guys like Alonso, McNeil, these guys, you can tell they're mentally, they're not tough enough yet. Maybe they'll see like Beatty and Alvarez when things aren't working out. You know what? They step up and let their talent prove everybody else wrong. That is something that is most important that I love to see from Brett Beatty in general. Because I've been saying this for a month now. Brett Beatty, I'm sick and tired of people talking about Brett Beatty when it comes to the minor league numbers. And every day we seen him hitting a home run on Twitter. It seemed like every other day he was hitting a home run, batting 350 in AAA. Now, I'm not expecting him to hit 350. That's crazy. But I need to see that power that he's shown the last 2 days, because we brought him up. We think he's that good because we think he can be a run producer. This team needs run producers other than Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor. You need that third guy, right? The Phillies are dangerous because they got those 3 guys, right? The Padres can be very dangerous with those 3 guys that are the run producers of their team. When you got 2 guys that are run producers, you can work around other guys in the lineup as a pitcher to avoid those guys. When you got 3 of them, that's a huge problem. The problem right now is the fact that besides Lindor, even though he scuffles every now and then, he's been the guy with the best numbers with guys on base and in scoring position. Alonso has been absolutely terrible ever since the calendar turned to May. We need him to be better. Can he get to 230? That would be nice, right? With Marte, with the headaches and the groin issue, there's a lot of things that they have to figure out with Marte, but it comes with everything else as well. You have to look at it in certain, but when it comes to Brett Beatty, it shows you when you can be mentally tough, which Beatty clearly shown, because he could have clearly folded and, went in the corner and not even be close to what he was seeing in the minor leagues. But what did he do? He picked himself up. Shit happens. It's baseball. We make errors. We make mistakes. Pick it up and do what you got to do and let the talent take over. Right? He didn't start squeezing the bat a little tighter. The nerves didn't start coming in. He knows he is that good. So he lets his talent do the talking. Same thing with Alvarez. Right? And that's the most important thing. And I think McNeil, Alonso, those guys got to learn from those baby Mets. Let's be honest, right? When those 2 guys are struggling, right? When you see Alvarez struggling, you don't see his confidence waver, right? You see him knowing that his talent is going to take over at some point and he's going to get hot again. With Alonso and McNeil, it seems like when they're not doing well, their confidence is gone and they try to do more. They try so hard that it makes them make more mistakes. And that's what Alonso McNeil is dealing with this year, in my opinion. And I think that's the most important thing. But the most important thing today is beating the White Sox. The good news is the bullpen is rested because of an 8-inning start and win by Justin Verlander, which was needed, especially for a day like today when Quintana is getting his first start as a Met. Because there's a pretty good chance that he's probably going to get 75 pitches in this game. Most likely, because if you notice, everybody who came back from an injury like Verlander, the first game was 75 pitches, not more than that. Maybe one or two more, depending on the situation. So 75 pitches, you just hope he has at least one quick inning where he can guarantee at least four innings, possibly 5. 5 innings would be excellent. That's what I can look for. If he gets 5, can't ask for more than that for the first start in a couple of months. So that's the most important thing. But the best thing about this is the bullpen is rested. All your guys that you at least somewhat trust are there, right? Raley's available. Robinson's available. Ottavino's most likely available. So you got the guys available. And I think that's the most important thing. So we got about 10 minutes left until the game starts, guys. So I'm gonna take you to 1 o'clock. I gotta get ready. I gotta go to the store. I gotta get travel size deodorant and shower stuff and all that crap. And I gotta pack because I didn't even do that yet. I got all my clothes out. I got the out-in shirt, which is really cool. Obviously I got to put all my, it's basically all Mets. I wear Mets shit on the plane. I wear Mets stuff around Boston. I can care less. So don't worry, guys. There will be a lot of content while I'm in Boston. So make sure you check out YouTube Shorts. I'm going to try to go, as long as the Wi-Fi is actually good at Fenway. I don't know that because that Citifield is garbage, as you guys well know. If Fenway got some good service, we're going to have some 15-inning lives at Fenway Park, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Bryce, I don't know yet because, I can feel good at the moment. But, if they flounder over the next 3 series and don't look good and don't get any closer to a wild card spot, well, August is going to be very boring because the Mets will be trading guys that they can get something for. And then August and September, they're just going to be playing out the games. Just for, let's see what the kids can do. That's basically it. So that's where we are right now. But at the moment, the Mets have the opportunity to sweep the White Sox, which I don't think anybody thought they probably could do because of the fact of the way they came off the Dodgers series, right? Nobody was excited about the game that they won against the Dodgers because it was luck. But sometimes you need that, right? The first game of the White Sox series, we should have won easily, but the Mets made it interesting. They won that one. Yesterday, it was a more complete game, which was nice to see. Today, the Mets have to score runs. I don't expect Quintana to put up zeros, right? First game back, who knows? He's going to be a little nervous. He's probably going to be a little pumped up, so he might overthrow early on. The Mets got to score some runs, and it's that simple. But you got to find a way, no matter how it is. If Quintana pitches well and the bullpen pitches well, great. But as long as we win, I don't care how we do it. Just win the ball game, and we go from there. So, once again, guys, I will be going to Boston. I'm flying out tomorrow morning. I'll be back Monday, I think, early afternoon. I think my flight's like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's only like an hour and a half flight. So I should be back sometime on Monday as long as there's no delays. I'll be back on Monday. So I'll be there Friday morning, Saturday, and Sunday, and fly back on Monday. So hopefully by then, the Mets have a 7-game winning streak when I get back home on Monday and going into the Yankee series on Tuesday and Wednesday, which I probably will go to one of those games in the Bronx. So let's hope that happens. But again, do I want to be going on a 7-game winning streak coming back to New York? Absolutely. But more importantly, just win series. Right? I want to sweep today because once you get the first 2, you want to step on the throat. You want to put that final nail in the coffin of that series. That's what you want to do, right? Take series and you will be fine. Because if you take series, you take every 2 out of 3, you take, the last series before the deadline is 4 against the Nationals. Would I want to sweep? Absolutely. But taking 3 out of 4 right before the deadline, I'm telling you guys, if we win, let me see how many games left. We got 1, 4, 6, 10 games left. Right? 10 games left before the deadline. Can they go 8-2? Even 7-3 isn't bad, but it all depends on what the teams do in front of you. Because the Mets can go 7-3, and if the Phillies go 5-5 or they go 4-6, same thing with the Marlins, and other teams go 500 during that stretch. Right? All you got to do is catch the team that's leading the wild card. The hell what the other teams in front of you are doing, because no matter what, you're going to move up. So that's the most important thing. And again, I say it again. Be between 3 to 5 games by the deadline. And as long as the Phillies and the Marlins hold that wild card spot, the Mets are primed to at least be somewhat buyers at the deadline, like getting more bullpen help, because that's the most important thing, right? If you can get 1, 2 bullpen arms, possibly 3 at the deadline, you can go running and take your chances. And if you're within 3 to 5 games, when you get to that 2-week mark in September at the end of the year, the last 2 weeks of games are all against the Marlins and the Phillies. And if one of those 2 teams or 2 of those teams are leading a wild card spot, you have the ultimate opportunity right in front of you, because all you got to do is beat them and you're probably in. That's where the Mets have to go. Again, I don't think it's likely, because the Mets, get your hopes up and then they knock you down really quickly. As I said on the Shea Bridge Show and the Mets Roundtable, the Mets are going to sweep the White Sox. They'll take 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox, looking good. So they'll win like 6 out of 7. They'll probably split with the Yankees, which always seems like it's the case. So they'll go 8 out of their last 10. And then they're within 3 or 4 games of a wild card spot, and then they'll get swept by the Nationals, and that would be the end of it. It's just the way they pick you back up, where you're starting to believe a little bit, and then they drop you right down. And we've known that torture basically our whole lives. We don't even have any type of skin anymore, because it's all scar tissue from the shit that we go through with this team. But you know what? We still watch, we still cheer, we still get frustrated, we still get excited. Right? They play a game like yesterday. I'm not saying Quintana go 8 innings, but if the Mets play a well-rounded game, there's a pretty good chance they're going to win. That's the way I feel. I feel like, look, the Mets are 24 games over 500 where their pitcher goes 6 innings or more. That just shows you that how fast things can change in a season, right? Even with the offense struggling for the most part, on average, they're scoring this season 4.39 per ball game. It's probably a little up now with the runs they scored in the last couple of games. So that's where we are when it comes to the Mets. Mets are 45-50. They're looking to sweep the series against the White Sox, which I believe they need. You can't take 2 out of 3 against the series, because it just feels like you just lost the series. You got to take 2 out of 3 after they take the first 2. The White Sox they got 1 foot on the plane already. They don't want to be here. All right. They're already 17 games under 500. They know half the team's getting traded. They do not want to be here. Put runs up early, and they'll have 1 foot on that plane getting out of New York. That's what you got to do against these teams on getaway day for them. Don't give them any hope. Score some runs early, and it'll be over. Guarantee you that. Because that's the type of team that already has clubhouse problems, that already got 1 foot on the plane. So push them a little bit onto that plane. That's what the Mets got to do. So Jose Quintana, I'm assuming his pitch count will be around 75 pitches. I think in his minor league starts, his last start, I think he got to 84 pitches, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little less. I think they're going to go with 75 pitches. So whatever inning that might be, you got David Peterson in the bullpen, who will probably be ready to go just in case Quintana has some problems early on, because you don't want his pitch count to get too high. So I think if it's the fourth inning and Quintana's around his pitch count where they say it's 75 pitches, then you'll probably see David Peterson coming for probably 2 innings. And then you go with your regular bullpen guys. So New York Mets are looking for the sweep today. I'm gonna tell you the lineup right now before we go. Give me a second. Let me just get the lineup here for us. All right, guys. So here we go. For the New York Metropolitans, we got Brandon Nimmo leading off playing center field. Tommy Pham playing left field, batting second. Francisco Lindor batting third, playing shortstop. Pete Alonso cleaning up, playing first base. Jeff McNeil batting fifth, playing second base. Alvarez DHing, batting sixth. Brett Beatty batting seventh, playing third. Mark Canha right field, batting eighth. And Omar Narvaez batting ninth and catching. So for, I think, the fourth time this year, Alvarez is DHing when he's technically getting a day off from catching. So again, Buck wants that bat in the lineup. He's putting them in the lineup. There is a risk, as me and Ken talked about many times. There is a risk because the Mets are carrying 2 catchers. God forbid, if Narvaez gets hurt, obviously Alvarez will probably go behind the plate and you lose your DH. And that would suck. Again, it's a rare occurrence, but if it happens, just know the scenario. Even though there might be an emergency catcher, which I don't think the Mets would do, especially if the game is, you need this game and you don't want to have a catcher, emergency catcher back there who can't catch a ball. And then you have real problems. So again, I love Alvarez's bat in the lineup. I have no problem with Buck doing this. It is a risk, but you need the bat in the lineup and you need this game. And especially with Quintana, you don't know what you're going to get for him today. You need all the offense you can do, and that's a good move by Buck there to put him in the lineup. So with that said, guys, it's 1 o'clock. Enjoy the game. Let's see what Quintana can do in his first time wearing the orange and blue. Mets going for the sweep before they head over to Boston to face the Red Sox for 3. So once again, guys, I will be in Boston starting tomorrow. Look out for the content from Boston for the next couple of days, guys. So with that said, everybody have a great rest of your day. Let's get this win. Let's get this sweep. And as always, Met fans, let's go Mets. I'll see you tomorrow in Boston, guys. Have a great day, guys. Let's go Mets.
Stadium, the big story, Mets 86. Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.